now I'm going to talk a bit about glasses, because this may cross over into learning technologies from BET, or at least be in the background somewhere. Last year, Meta were at both events with helmets, and this year they weren't at BET, but the helmets were there on the Lenovo stand, and there were people talking about virtual worlds or expanded reality, but Meta, I don't know what they're doing. They're rearranging their software, but the hardware still exists. I think it's going to be more the glasses than the helmets. That's what seems to be selling. So they might develop that a bit, and they're not going to be at Learning Technologies, or they're not announced yet. But maybe there's a similar arrangement that their hardware will be used by somebody else, or something will turn up. Google are going to do some sort of glasses. They tried doing glasses and then they stopped doing them, but they're going to do another lot of glasses. I'll come to the basis of this in a bit, but just to explain another thing, that I've done a blog about this. I have several blogs on Blogger that I've not been using for a while, but I've gone back to it. Google are sort of hiding Blogger at the moment. It's quite hard to come across, and I don't think it's been updated much. But my theory is that with all the AI that they've got, they will find a way of taking all the text that's accumulated in Blogger and rearrange it into something else, which could be video, could be a podcast. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I'm trying to reactivate some of it or update it. And at the moment, the links, there's something wrong with it. It won't go to the precise post that I've chosen, but it will go to the blog. So then you have to find it. So I've got a blog post headlined Meta AI on Google Glasses. And that's to do with, it's really the other way round. At the moment, the Google is part of the Meta scene, I would say. So if you use the Meta glasses, you can call up some of the Google applications. Be My Eyes is the app. So going back to the beginning of this, John Mahey, who is very often, if you look at the accumulation of We Don't Know shows, he's on most of the shows, and he will be back at some point. He needs augmenting his vision, so he's very interested in Orcam My Eye, which is a hardware product. It's been around for a long time, and it's essentially a camera which you can attach to the side of your glasses, and then it has got AI within it, and it tells you things like what you're looking at, or text to voice or speech, and it's accumulated other features as well. But it's a dedicated piece of hardware, and it's fairly expensive. So although John's looked at it and considered it, he's not actually bought it, because it's not a mass market, or it's not the sort of thing you'd think of as easily afforded. But we've always looked for Orcam at BET, and some of their products turn up at Learning Technologies, but they've stopped being there. I think they've chosen not to develop their products much further. At one point they had a handheld equivalent with a lot of the functions, but not as stable as attaching it to glasses, and you could rent it as well, and they had versions that would work in schools, which are still very interesting. I think there's people would look at them, and there are stands where the Orcam range is available at Bet in the Send village. So that'll come around again next year. It's well worth a look for that. But I think what's probably going to happen in the same way that text to voice or text to speech became mainstream, started off as an accessibility feature in Apple and then Windows, became something that a lot of people would use. I think the accessibility aspects of glasses will become mainstream as well. So, which brings me to the bit of The Guardian that I was wanting to talk about. This was on Thursday, 15th of March, about a UK project for glasses that help dementia patients. And I'm looking at this from my own point of view. My memory is all right at the moment. I do forget some things, but not a lot of things. But I can imagine this. Cross Sense is the name of the project. If you search on Cross Sense, they've won a prize with some funding to develop this. And the software does exist on a phone as an app. You don't have to go with the hardware. And I don't know when it's going to be available. I think sometime next year. But I'm going to be looking at this. John's going to be looking at the Orcam and whether any of the glasses. I think the helmets are not much used in daily life, moving about, because you can't see anything other than what the artificial world is, whereas the glasses you can mix and match, and you've got some sort of control over how much text goes in front of your lenses. I think it's more likely you're going to welcome sound, so radio's going to fit in with this. But going back a bit to the blog, I just call up AI and I get loads of text and I'm putting it into the blog. So I'm doing bits of talking during radio shows, bits of putting sound in video on YouTube, and I will get back to text. But at the moment it's just stored bits of text. So if you do find this Meta AI on Google Glasses, it could be Google Apps on Meta Glasses, but that's the way it turned round. But this is I'm not sure where this came from, but it's lots of information on what glasses can do in terms of accessibility or AI integration.